Welcome to Women Should Know, the podcast and online show that dives into conversations that every woman needs to hear. From career to confidence, relationships, and real life wisdom, we're keeping it unfiltered, raw, and real. I'm Nicole Hurst. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Should Know show. I'm here with Angela, and she is a sex therapist. Angela, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, so I am both a couples therapist and a sex therapist. I've written 3 books, so this is always my shameless plug. One is From Fuck No to Fuck Yes Sex. That's the first book in my Open Bedroom Doors book series. And I have 2 other ones, one on infidelity and one on premarital counseling. And then I also run couples retreats, a YouTube channel, and a podcast.
That's fantastic. I'm super excited to talk to you. So I didn't kind of warm you up to this, but a lot of our questions, so we're based out of Utah, and I feel like there's a big purity culture here. So a lot of our questions, or some of our questions kind of even like mention that. So, I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with that before.
I have. That's my origin story. Like I came into sex therapy from purity culture and breaking free of it, really.
Right. Oh, understood. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to jump right in. So, because I have one that started with the purity culture, kind of. Let's see. Also, I asked my audience if they had questions for you, so they could ask anonymously. So I don't even know the names of who asked these questions because I just sent out a Google form. So we have some anonymous questions. So,
oh, I love it.
Yeah. Again, like with the purity culture, I feel like there's so many questions women want to ask, but they don't know who, and they don't want to just like ask their girlfriends. Okay, let's start with this one. It says, ever since I got pregnant and gave birth to my baby girl 9 months ago, I'm never really in the mood anymore, and I don't know what to do. And sometimes we don't have sex for months.
Okay. So is the question, how do we get back into the bedroom, or
Yeah, she
what's
didn't
going
say it,
on?
but I'm pretty sure it's like, how do we get the groove back?
Yeah, well, let's answer both. So first, it's pretty common when you're breastfeeding for your hormones to shut down your sexual desire entirely. It's actually a safety mechanism, right? So your body, when you've just had a baby, basically is like, don't do this again anytime soon. It's not safe. Focus on this one. And so there are hormones that are literally releasing in your body saying, stop sex, don't do sex. And I know doctors will say things like you should be good to go like 2 months after you have your baby, but like the real postpartum time is anywhere from a year to 2 years after your baby, depending on how long you're breastfeeding and your body's just getting back to normal. For people who've had a baby, which I've had a baby, I remember right after my kiddo came, so I was waiting for my period to go back to normal, and like it took forever. It really just was like up and down. I would have it like 1 month, not another month. And so like regular periods are connected to those sexy hormones, the hormones that say, hey, you interested?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. And so if you're kind of still like having random periods, then yeah, you're still in that postpartum phase. So that's what's going on, why it's happening. Now let's answer the question of if you want to get sexy in the bedroom, how? One of the things that helps is taking a step away from the kiddos, actually. If you have some family or friends who could watch the kiddo for a time or even overnights, I know this is terrifying for some new moms, but like if you have a friend who will send you pictures of your kids so that you know they're safe, they're okay. Really, it's getting out of the caretaker role, because the other thing that's killing people's sex life is being constantly in the caretaker role. Like it's natural to not feel sexy when you're in a caretaker role because it's mom baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of it has to do with really setting some time away from the kiddo on a pretty regular basis. So not like every day or anything, but like once a week, once every 2 weeks, take some time away where you have a long period of time to remember, one, I'm a human person and I'm a woman, and that I can have my own life too, in addition to having this wonderful new baby.
Well, and I love the 2 things you said. Like, just because a doctor says you should be good to go doesn't mean your feelings and your hormones are going to be like rearing to go. Like, he's just saying like your body's okay, like not that you're feeling okay. And also, I do feel like new moms are scared to like leave a baby with someone, but I think that being able to have that connection time with your partner is obviously going to be really important. Okay, our next question, it says, please discuss getting past the religious shame associated with sexual relationships outside of a marriage. How can I safely be non-monogamous?
Well,
I
that's going to
told
be
you, like we
all
were going
order.
in deep.
We're going in deep and hard. I'm going to shamelessly plug my book because it is
Okay.
about teaching you the way to rethink about those harmful messages that really caused a lot of shame and guilt. So my whole book is actually about changing the way you think about sex so that you can show up for it differently. So I would start with recognizing every time you notice you say things to yourself like, oh, that's not okay, or how did, like any of the basically internal messaging that you learned from purity
Yeah.
culture, right? And you have to just like, if you think of it like excavating, you want to like notice it, excavate it, be like, nope, not going to treat myself like that, and then replace it with different, more neutral or kind thoughts. In my book, I talk about neutral thinking as a step towards positive thinking about sex because I've noticed that in my history, I've had a few clients where I was like, just start like watching fun, sexy shows and just like remember, like, it's so good for you. Like, I had like this message, right? And they weren't buying it. It's like, okay, what's getting in the way? And what I learned is that a lot of my clients need a neutral space first before they can get to sex positive or open. And so neutrality may look like this is sex, these are people, I'm having sex with people, like very neutral language.
Yeah.
For just create kind of a neutral relationship with your sexuality. And then
Yeah.
when you work from that first, I use this with body image stuff too. So creating a neutral relationship with your body first. And then once you're used to like not abusing yourself internally and just like neutral, then you can move towards those positive thoughts.
Yeah.
She was talking about ethical non-monogamy. So I like that's the second thing. So like all of these questions are multifaceted, but I have answers. For ethical non-monogamy, I really suggest reading and watching a couple things. Reading Ethical Slut, reading Opening Up. Actually, there's a really great book. It's called The Jealousy Workbook by Kathy Labriola. I have a lot of people look through that because it goes through like, here are the emotions that are going to come up and here's how you work through them. So people who are ethically non-monogamous still experience different emotions like jealousy, abandonment, fear of like, will I be left? Like we all have them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the difference is people who are doing ethical monogamy well have learned how to manage those emotions when they show up. Not like, not they're just not some magical people that don't feel, you know?
Right. Right.
And so those are the books. And also a really great show to watch if you do watch Playboy TV is Swing. There's a swing show. And this is not the poly side, this is like swinger side. In the swing show, it takes these newbie couples and introduces them to like a swing house of like old bee couples, basically. And they teach them things and they talk. So they'll interview the newbies and the old bees and they'll talk about their experiences and the lifestyle. So there is some limits to it because if you're hoping to be more in the polyamorous space or like relationships with love, essentially, then swing is not necessarily going to show you that, but it will show you the conversations that people have to have about consent. And I think they do a pretty decent job for a reality show. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's still reality. So please know you're not going to have some random swing house that you can walk in and people are like, here, we'll help you. That's
Surprise.
not how it works. But they did do a good job trying to show these are the conversations people have.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I'm very vanilla and I didn't even know there was Playboy TV, much less like a show about this. So, but that's fantastic information
Well, you
because
need to know a sex therapist.
I'm sure, I'm sure there's people who want that. Also, I know you've already talked to a boudoir photographer before, but that's what I do is I'm a boudoir photographer. And I love that you talked about like the body neutrality because I also talk about that. Like it's hard to go from like self-hate to self-love. So you have to find like a good like self-neutrality before you can get to self-love sometimes.
So, because your abuser won't listen to the nice guy, they'll just have a
Yeah.
fight in your head. That's
So yeah,
all
you
that
got to get
happens.
neutral and then, yeah, the
Like
stepping
every time
stone.
I tell a couple or an individual to do that, she'd just have a fight with herself. No, I'm ugly. And the abuser usually wins. What's so sad?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. My husband is 56, and even with testosterone shots and pills, he can rarely get hard anymore. Any tips? Our sex life is very different now. I'm not complaining, but I'm wondering what else could help.
Yeah, I have a whole YouTube video on this that I can also send you as a link. It's called
Yes.
Body D, What's Your Plan B? And the reality is you have to change the way sex looks. So as men age, first they need more direct stimulation. So if before sex was focused on the female and you really just had to lay there, if you've heard of the term pillow princess. So pillow princesses, you get to lay there, you get to enjoy being pleasured, and it's a great part of sexuality, right? But if your sexual style was you were the pillow princess and you now have an aging man, that's just not going to work for him. He needs you to touch him. He needs you to suck on him. He needs you to
Yeah.
and here's the other thing. So if the ED is related to direct stimulation, he needs more stimulation of his penis. If you're stimulating his penis and he's still struggling with erections, then it's the opposite. This is how confusing it can be. So once a guy gets in his head performance anxiety, then constant attacking of a penis isn't going to make it come. It's going to actually make it shrivel up further. And
Okay.
so a willingness to do what I write about is creative sexuality, which is you are capable of pleasure from head to toe. And so if you can focus on other sexual ways of being, then you can actually still have a great sex life. But what you do is you treat the penis like, hey, if you want to show up, cool. If not, you've got fingers, you've got tongues, you've got hopefully vibrators and toys. If not, please get some. But you have different options for showing pleasure.
Yeah.
In the video, I talk about how, I mean, if you can find a bone on his body, you can grind it. So anywhere, put him on his face and grind on parts of his back. Well, you can get an orgasm doing that. So your orgasm is linked to your clitoris. And I do, so for the woman who's like, but I just want to be pounded because I know you, I've heard you. For that woman, I think it's really important to learn different G-spot stimulation stuff, a willingness to use toys. And again, you have to take full pressure off the penis. So if it works today, cool. If not, how do you make the whole body sexual experience a priority and still have a good time? And that's how people are working with ED. But I want to put both sides of the equation because sometimes it's the first one that they're not touching his penis. They're just expecting him to get hard through kissing and him going down on you. And he now needs direct touch. And so it really depends on your guy. And so that's where having these conversations with each other is super important rather than guessing.
Yeah. So this isn't a question, but I just want to feed off of that, what you said, because I feel like some men don't want to have that conversation because I feel like they get embarrassed. So what is a good way to open up that communication with your partner if he is scared or embarrassed or mad or whatever and doesn't want to talk about it?
I wouldn't do it right in the moment because once he's in that pressure spot where he's being hard on himself. So the same thing we were talking about earlier with the body negativity, he's experiencing a body negativity at that time and he's probably being self-abusive. And so I would wait until after that experience and then talk later casually, just bring it up. Hey, I want to talk to you about different ways we can be intimate that work with you. And I'm open to whatever that looks like. I know that you've had some trouble here and there. But I want you to know I'm open to different ways of being sexual. I would love it if we came up with different, I'd be happy if we made out for the night. I'd be happy if we did sensual massage. If you do want me to go down on you, I'd be happy to do that. But if it's not working, that's okay too. I want to take all of the pressure off this. So, but I need us to talk about it. So what do you think we should be doing? That's one way to bring it up. And I'd say a second thing that you can do is see a sex therapist, because we are here for a reason. And it's not just guys that struggle with having the conversation, girls do too. Everyone, my phrase is I help couples go from the friend zone to the sexy zone by normalizing conversations about sex. And that's my how is we've got to normalize conversations about sex. But the reason that is what I'm doing is because it's not normalized. So everybody is struggling to have conversations about sex.
Yeah.
It may also look like seeing doctors together, but starting to have conversations about sex, seeing a sex therapist and starting to have conversations, watching different shows on there's stuff on Netflix. So for the people who don't know about Playboy TV, you didn't, and that's fine. There's Netflix shows like How to Build a Sex Room or Sex, Love, and Goop that are putting out some, I'd say racy stuff, but educational stuff that's at least getting it in your room.
Yeah.
And so watching shows and talking about stuff, that's a way to get comfortable normalizing conversations about sex.
I love that. And I have a boudoir client who was telling me that they watched that show on Netflix, the How to Build a Sex Room. And she was like, and then we went and bought a special chair or whatever. So I think, I like that. That's a easy way to open up the conversation if you need it. And I was just looking, I had another question that basically is what we're saying what's an easy way to get partners talking about likes, dislikes, and curiosity outside of the normal existing bag of tricks while remaining comfortable? Um, so is that the main suggestion? Just like watching shows, and then talking about it like not in the moment, but more like in a casual atmosphere?
Yeah, I would say it could be watching shows because most people at least have access to Netflix. Although I have one couple that does not. It could be reading books. There are different sex education books, like The Guide to Getting It On by Paul Joanides is a really fun book. I have a fun book. Esther Perel has a book, Mating in Captivity. So if you're more readers and if you like the old timey, we read to each other, like by the fire, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
to be intimate, right? And so you can read or listen to podcasts. There are like your show, right? Like listen to podcasts and talk after the show. I would say
Yeah.
if you can get couples talking outside of sex, like in a more casual everyday basis, then it becomes easier in the moment to say things like, hey, why don't we try this? Or remember that thing we listened to on the show the other day? We should like try that,
Yeah.
But it's really hard to talk about sex or ask for these likes or dislikes if you don't really have a casual everyday sort of way, like at breakfast, sex breakfast. Let's
Yeah.
talk about this thing we learned. I don't know. I imagine them being British for some reason.
With their tea.
At tea, yeah, like tea time. Wow. What do you think of our coitus?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny. Okay. And then I think I only have one more. Um, it says, what is the best way to care for our labia, vagina, and associated area? Society has us convinced that we smell and must use a total body deodorant or other products to make it smell better. Is that something within your wheelhouse you can share?
We can talk about it. Don't do any of that stuff. Just use soap, like normal, like the least chemicals possible because it's a sensitive area. Don't use douches, don't use deodorants. You smell lovely. Actually, your partner is so grateful to be there. Like take a moment instead of worrying about like as long as you're showering and cleaning yourself off, good to go. You can keep some baby wipes around if like sometimes people poop, you want to like clean that just to make sure that everything's cleaned up there. But beyond your basic hygiene stuff, really, I would ask your partner what he feels about your scent, or she or they, because you can have anybody interested in you. And just listen for a bit because I'm going to tell you, your partner is just so grateful to be as close to it as possible. They would breathe you and taste you. Like it's always in our head how we feel about ourselves. But the reality is, yeah, a vagina has a smell, but it doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't say it smells like flowers, but I don't think it's supposed to smell like flowers.
Yeah.
It does have a scent, and your partner probably really likes it.
Well, and something else I read the other day said like, if your partner says like he loves this part of your body, just believe him. And women are always we're always in our head and worried about scent or shape or feel or whatever. But if your partner loves something on you and he or she or they tell you, just accept that and love that they love that.
Yeah. It's funny. It goes back to the thing we were talking about earlier. Somebody can compliment you, but if you don't believe it in yourself, then you still won't believe it.
Yeah.
I think it was in that show, Sex, Love, and Goop. There was an episode where a woman had to make a new relationship with her vulva. And like she wrote a letter to it. And it was actually pretty touching. I cried a little listening because she was speaking to her vulva about how she had treated it across time. And there was a lot of hurtful things she had said and done to her vulva, like not really honoring it or appreciating it. And so, in addition to believing him, you may need to work on changing that relationship with your vulva, like developing neutrality first, but then also like maybe apologizing to it for treating it as bad as you have at times. Because that's what she did. She read this letter and said, I'm sorry for the ways I've treated you, and I'm going to honor you going forward. And it just hit me. It was like, there's so many women who are just so hard on themselves, parts of their body, their vagina. And it's like, these are beautiful things. I hate that our society puts people down like this. It's disgusting.
And I don't think it's always just religion. I think it is just society. But when you do live in like a very religious place, I feel like it almost feels like it's coming from both sides. So then I feel like there is extra shame there. And I did have one more. It says, my husband grew up in a toxic home devoid of love and physical touch. Now he craves it above all else and gets highly upset when something physical isn't daily. How can a wife whose love language is definitely not physical touch manage this?
Well, I mean, touch is more fun when you can say no, when you have a choice, right? Like, how can I trust your yes if you can't say no? And
Yeah.
so I think there can be levels and layers to touch. So I'll kick it from both sides because why not, right? On the one hand, I want you to always feel like you have a choice in the matter of touch, and there's different ways to be intimately connected to people. So if a partner is saying, hey, can we touch or be connected in some way? If there is a choice in being able to say, hey, I'm open to doing it, but can we do it this way? Like collaboratively talking through that, then it can be an opportunity to say, I'm open to a handhold. I'm open to a hug. I'm open to a kiss. I'm definitely not open to sex right now, but I could be open to cuddles. And if
Yeah.
you have a partner who is deeply respecting of those different levels and boundaries, then that is a good situation. And really, you just need to find ways to support each other through that. This situation, it sounds punishing and unsafe. And so I
Yeah.
want to take it from the other way, which is you shouldn't be punished or in trouble in some sort of way because you aren't doing something. Your body is yours and you have a choice for how you use it and don't use it. And that includes any form of intimacy, right? Even if it's like, I'm open to a handhold, but he's punishing you or mad at you or having these big tantrums, then really you have a bigger relationship issue that needs to be addressed either with some emotion regulation management in your husband, depending on, I don't know him, so I can't diagnose him, but if there's
Right.
bigger issues, there can be diagnoses like depressions, bipolar situations. I don't know, and I can't know, but it's at the very least sounds unsafe.
Yeah. And I do think it's important that we remember that like you do have the option to say no. Like your body is your body, and just because you're married doesn't mean that your partner's entitled to it. And I think I love what you said. Like, okay, like I'm not really in the mood for sex, but can we cuddle or can we hold hands or can we go for a romantic stroll and hold hands and like connect in a way that isn't just like in the bedroom. So I think that's an important start. And I think again being able to have that conversation with your spouse, because I feel like sometimes partners just feel rejected and then it goes straight to like anger or resentment. But if you can give them a boundary, like this is how I'm feeling right now, like it's not a rejection. Like I love you and I want to be close to you. I just, my headspace isn't in the moment to be intimate in that way at this moment. I think that's important to communicate that with your partner as well.
I agree. And to your point, though, if you really can't say no to something, then it's an unhealthy environment, right? And
Agreed.
what makes us want things is the fact that we can choose, right? Like
Yeah.
you could even say it for a cookie. Let's talk about cookies for a second. If I can choose to eat a cookie, then I am going to like and devour that cookie more with more joy and vigor than if somebody is forcing me to eat a
Right.
cookie, right? Like no, like I need a cookie. You got to eat a cookie every day. Why haven't you eaten your cookie? Like I don't want a cookie. Like I have a choice. Like it's my body. If I want to eat
Yeah.
that cookie or not, it's mine. And I'm not in the mood for a cookie and you need to just deal with that. Like if you're in that situation or environment, it's an unhealthy environment. I just wanted to use a weird reference as the cookie so that people could see how strange it is that we somehow let that get away in sexual circumstances.
Yeah.
Like because of what you said, that obligation that we've been taught that like in sex you're supposed to do these things. It sometimes creates these dynamics that are unsafe and unhealthy. And to your point, it's not rejection, it's I have boundaries. And when I have the right to set boundaries and choose when I engage in cookie eating or sex, I enjoy it more. But when I feel
Yeah.
obliged to or forced or punished for not doing it, I want cookies less. I want sex less. I want you less.
Like I've heard enthusiastic, yes. So like I'm not going to show up enthusiastically right now, but I can be enthusiastic later or tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, same thing. Like I'm going to enjoy this cookie if I have it when I want it versus you making me eat a cookie right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I like the thing I said earlier, which is that middle ground. I don't think you need to be enthusiastically yes all the time either. I think that's too black and white as well. Like I can be sort of like, I'll eat the cookie. Why not? Like that's not
I could
enthusiastic,
go.
but
I could eat.
they're yummy.
Yeah.
I get something out of this cookie, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that dynamic is too far, right? Like if every time I eat a cookie, I have
Oh.
to be, oh my God, this cookie is amazing. Sometimes you just eat a cookie because it's nice.
Okay.
That's where that middle ground of like, I have different ways I can be intimate. And here's some of the layers and levels. Like I'm open to holding hands. I'm open to a kiss. So like I still want people to honor their value system and like their boundaries, right? And so your boundary may be If you think of it like any intimacy that somebody's initiating is they're just initiating closeness and attention in some way. Okay, well, what kinds of closeness and attention am I open to giving at this time? So it requires you to think about it. Well, what am I open to? I don't want
Yeah.
the whole cookie, but I could have a bite. Okay. Or I just want the chocolate chips. Can we just do the chocolate chips? Cool. Maybe I don't want a cookie. Maybe I actually just want the M&M on the top. That is delicious.
Yeah.
M&Ms are delicious. So there's options for even when you're not enthusiastically ready to go.
Yeah.
But I still want people to listen and honor to their bodies, right? So it's like, okay, I'm not like here, but I could be here if I just did, these two or three things, I could get there. So let's do these two or three things. So
Yeah.
really what I'm inviting people to do is learn the multifaceted layers of their body and how it works. But also, even if you say, I'm really only interested in this crumb of the cookie and you're still fighting me or punishing me, then that's still an unhealthy environment. So I
Yeah.
want to make it very clear. Collaboration means you're both willing to do whatever works for the other person and for yourselves. Abuse is when you get punished or put down or criticized for
Yeah.
not doing something when you're just not there. And it's okay that you're not there.
Yeah. No, I love that. Those are all my questions. So I'm gonna have you share like your how we can find your book and stuff. But real quick, is there anything else you want to share with the audience?
Um, all the questions were about asking, how do I talk to my partner about this? And really the big answer is just do it awkwardly. Like you don't have to be great at this stuff. Like I started off awkward and just blurting stuff out and saying stuff and hoping for the best. And that's really how you learn to talk about sex. It's awkward, it's weird until it becomes a little more normal and familiar. And
Yeah.
then once it becomes familiar, then it becomes easier and then it becomes fun. But it doesn't become fun until you get through the awkward weirdness. And so
Yeah.
don't let awkwardness slow you down. Just work with it. Be kind to yourself through that awkwardness. But really, how you talk to your partner about sex is just you jump right into that awkwardness like a swan dive.
I love that. Okay, I have one more question that I thought about because when I first decided I wanted to talk to, I think I had even put that I was looking for like a flirtation specialist or sex therapist because I had a friend make a post that she was like, I don't know how to flirt. And I am awkward. And so I was like, I need to talk to someone who can like tell us as women, like how to flirt with our husbands or potential partners. Um, yeah. How do you flirt? How do you feel like you start that openness or that conversation with a stranger or your partner?
We'll start with maybe some eye contact and a little smiling. Flirting is eye contact, flirting is smiling. Light, affectionate touches. Women actually, I mean, anytime we're giving attention, it can be seen as flirting.
Yeah.
So just give a little more attention to somebody that you
Yeah.
like. But guys, some people, not just guys, some people can be a little oblivious. So I would then awkwardly blurt out more of your interests. Like, I think you're cute. Actually, awkward flirting is the hottest flirting. Like
Yeah.
my best flirting experiences have been when I just say, I think you're cute, and then I run away. I literally have that story in my history. And like the person was endeared to me. They're like, that's why, where are you going?
Like I said what I needed to say. Come find me if you agree.
Exactly. You can write the note. I like you. Do you like me? Yes, no. Any of it is flirting. It doesn't have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
But some easy basic ones are eye contact, smiles, complimenting people. Like, did you know men never get complimented? They are so lonely and they feel like nobody ever gives them attention. So you give them, just compliment them like, hey, you look really good. Is that cologne you're wearing? Oh, it smells so good. Just compliment them, right? Like any of
Yeah.
your compliments. And the difference between a friendly versus a flirty compliment is more personal, right? I mentioned cologne. Cologne's a little more personal, right? Where I feel like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a nice shirt. If you could say the compliment to anyone, any gendered person and at work, then it's probably not in the flirty space.
Right.
So you get just a little more personal and then you're flirting. Like, ooh, you smell good. What are you wearing? Ooh, is that muscle? Ooh, let me see that. Let me, and be weird about it. Like be open to be very weird. Like I like to like trace the muscle, like touch it. Like, what did you do if they have a muscle or if they have like a cute spot on their body, like touch it and just be like, like compliment it. Like, that's so
Yeah.
cute. Or, like depending on how close you are to the person, right? I was thinking,
Yeah.
because the question was if you're potentially wanting to date or if it's husband. I think you could probably do a little more with a husband than a
Yeah.
first date. But even on a first date, I mean, you can still, like, some of these will still play pretty well, like
Yeah.
eye contact, smiles, like, oh, you look good. What do you do? Like, think of Joey from
The
Friends. How you
Joey.
doing?
Yes. Cute.
Like,
I love
actually,
that.
the DJ voice, use a low DJ voice and like, hey, how's it going? Now you're flirting.
Yeah. I love it. I'm going to tag the friend who said she needed help flirting. That's fun.
No, it's just giving attention. That's all flirting is. I think people get in their heads about it, but all
Yeah.
you're doing is giving the person that you care about some attention that's a little sexy or spicy
And
and
directed.
personal, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like you could just do this to anybody, but like when I compliment somebody in a more flirty way, I'm trying to make it about them. Like, ooh, that shirt makes you look great. Like, wow, I love
Yeah.
that color on you. You're very specific and you like do it a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, now tell us about your book, tell us about your podcast, and then I'll have you send me links so I can put it in the podcast so people can go directly to you as well. But
Yeah,
give us your
well,
pitch.
the quickest way to find me is at openbedroomdoors.com. That's my hub. So that's where all my books and podcasts and stuff are. And I also have a YouTube channel at Open Bedroom Doors where I give free tips and tricks on this stuff. I have some flirting stuff in there too. So for your friend, we can send a couple specific links about here's how you flirt. This is my third book. So it's called From Fuck No to Fuck Yes Sex. It is the first book in my Open Bedroom Doors book series. But before it, I wrote Helping Couples Overcome Infidelity and Premarital Counseling, a Guide for Clinicians. All of those are available on Amazon. You can just look up my name, Skurtu. It's a weird name. So as long as you find Angela Skurtu, Skurtu, you can find anything.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I have a podcast and the YouTube channel too. So all of that stuff is at openbedroomdoors.com.
And then I know you said we can find the book on Amazon. Is it available on Audible by chance?
I am getting there. I just put
Okay.
it out. So it will be available on
Okay,
Audible.
awesome. I'm definitely an Audible girl because I like to listen as I drive back and forth to work. And so I feel like I ask everybody when they're like, I have a book. I'm like, cool, but can I listen to it? Because I feel like I don't find a lot of time to read, but I love listening while I drive. So
I'm
I'll
more of
be
a
on the
listener
lookout for
too.
sure.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. All right. I think that's all for our show today. But thank you so much for being here. And I'm excited to dive into more of your work.
All right. Thank you.
Of course. That's a wrap on this episode of Women Should Know. Did you love it? Then hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share it with a friend. You can also find me on social media under Women Should Know because the conversation doesn't stop here. I'll see you next time. Bye.